Hey guys, this is Jacob Neufeld from American Implement, and today we're going to be doing a walk around on this John Deere W235 Windrower with its 500R rotary head. One of the first things you notice about the W235 when you're walking around it here is how large the tires are. These tires are 24/5, 32-inch rims tires here. We can order these in ag tires for better traction, but we prefer the button tires because no matter how you cut your fields out, there will be a time where you run over your hay, and these button tires help protect that hay from getting too much damage. They actually have flexible sidewalls, so the flexible sidewalls help as a suspension for you inside the cab there. Along with the load absorbing large front tire, we also have an air seat. This air seat actually goes side to side if you're turning sharp, and it absorbs just about any kind of bump you face in a typical field. In the rear, we have the torsion axle design. This torsion axle is a very simple design, which means it's very easy to maintenance. Now, if you have any issue with it, it doesn't take a whole lot of your time and you can be back in the field. Torsion axles typically last a very long time without having any problems. You'll notice also this cylinder right here. This cylinder here is part of our IntelliAxle design. It's an industry exclusive design, and it actually helps with the steering of this W235. So when you're going from 0 to 4 miles per hour, all that drives this W235 is those front tires, like most Swathers. Now, as soon as you get into above 4 miles an hour, when you're in the field and you're running, the IntelliAxle actually helps you keep your swather in a straight line. This is a major benefit, especially if you have some younger operators and you don't have auto track on or something like that. You can ensure that they're still going to be driving straight. And then also, when you're going down a hill, it helps stop that potential fishtail from happening. In other swathers, you don't have that, and it's pretty scary going at transport speeds down a hill or just having to make a turn without any steering assist. But this helps protect you, keeps you safe, and you can adjust the settings. Inside the cab, you can adjust the sensitivity of that IntelliAxle. This is the premium cab option, but with any cab option, John Deere really focuses on visibility. You can easily see both ends of the header and right behind the header too, to make sure you're not missing anything. You'll notice how the corner posts they're pretty well off on the side. The premium cab has a few different extra options. So first off, all W235 and W260s have this tinted rear window. This window helps us stop the sun from just beating down on your back. And then the premium model, we actually have these footrests here, help extend out your legs and just be comfortable throughout the day. And with the premium model, we get this large fridge. We have our instructional seat right here, and the premium model, the seat will actually move side to side. Here, let me hop up and try that again here. That absorbs a lot of the motion when you're making sharp turns. One other thing that the premium W235 has on the premium cab is it will have 4 LED lights and 4 halogen lights. This helps for better visibility and for visibility when it's not dark but the sun's shining on your eyes. The premium model does have sunshades that drop down in the front and in the back. The The W235 has a very simple display, tells you anything you need to know about the machine, and that's where you can do your higher level adjustments. Anything you can't do from your control arm, you can get to it on that screen there. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we have the 2630 here for our auto tracking. Now, one thing that sets this swather apart from its competitors is the John Deere 2630 allows us to get activations for auto track or circle track or pivot pro, and we can actually reach 17 miles an hour in the field with this 16-foot rotary head while auto tracking accurately. Of course, that depends on what kind of receiver you have, but even a 3000 would do well in that. Our closest competitor would be closer to 15 miles per hour, so that makes a big difference over a long period of time or on a large field. I won't go over all these controls. Most of them are self-explanatory, like the AC and the hazard lights and the radio. Most of these controls here are for the display, but I will show you what you have at your fingertips. So the multifunction lever is ergonomically designed to where it just fits into your hand very well. And I'll go over the buttons here that you have at your fingertips. So first one, this one engages auto steer. And actually, if you tap it twice, it will center your line as well. So if you just cut around a pivot and you're about 18 inches further south than you were the last pass, then you can actually tap this twice and it'll center it as long as you're lined up where you want to be. The next button here, this one, is this is to increase or decrease the platform speed set point. This button here is to enable or disable the merger. This unit does not have a merger on it. This button right here is to raise and lower as well as adjust the angle of the deck manually. And then this button over here, this is the platform float suspension adjustment. And it also works as a windrow merger position control, but we don't have a merger on this unit. These buttons here are numbered because they actually do different things depending whether you're running a draper head or a rotary head. And so the first button here is a full platform raise. That's actually just going to lift everything up as soon as you leave the field. This is all for a rotary head, not for a draper head. And then the second button is to lower the platform, and that actually automatically engages the auto track as well. So if you are keeping the same line and you're going into the field, you just have to press one button and it'll engage your auto track and lower the head. And then the third button is to toggle between platform speed set points. This, of course, is also where you do all your driving. All you have to do is pull the handle out of position, and you can back it up, or you can pull it forward. Now that we've had just a brief overview of the outside of the traction unit, as well as been inside the cab a little bit, we're going to take a look at what powers this beast. So the W200 series come in two different sizes. They come in a 260 horsepower and a 235 like we have here. And you can tell what horsepower it is, of course, by the name of the machine. So the only reason you would need the 260 horsepower is when you're cutting really heavy triticale wheat, or if you're cutting some larger sorghum in front of silage cutters or forage harvesters. This engine here, this is the 6.8 liter John Deere engine. This is actually the same engine that you find in the 7R series tractors. So they're very durable and they have been tested. They've been put through the ringer. The only difference between these and the 7Rs is the way the turbos are set up. But you'll notice how easy it is to get to as well. So if you're changing any filters, you'll notice right in here, you can easily get to any filters. You can check the oil. There's the fan right there. Very open, and there's no pesky latch to unhook the side panels there. I went ahead and opened up a few different compartments here, and I just want to point out how easy it is to not only look at anything if you're concerned you might have an issue, but how easy it would be to fix a problem if you all of a sudden had one here on this W235. You can easily get to the radiator, blow it out. Any hydraulic issue you may have, very accessible. You can reach the fuel and the DEF right here. Even though everything's pretty easy to get to, John Deere does offer a remote display access along with some subscriptions. Whenever you have remote display access, if you have an issue, your service advisor will be notified about it. And then that way you can get ahead of the problem. We can start diagnosing an issue before it even becomes a problem. And the earlier we get to it, of course, the faster we can be out in the field and help you out, keep you guys going. Okay, now that we've gone over the W235 traction unit, I want to go over the header options. So the W235 is a really special machine because you can actually run it with a draper up to 36 foot wide, or a 500R rotary head like we have here. The best part about that is you can change over from the draper head to the rotary head, or vice versa, in roughly 20 minutes or 30 minutes. The most important part of any windrower is the job it does making sure you have the highest quality hay in the windrow, and to be able to harvest that windrow when the plant has the right amount of moisture. The 500R has a 5 to 7% higher relative feed value, or produces 5 to 7% higher relative feed value than its competitors. Here's how. So first off, it produces evenly conditioned and laid down windrows, which means the dry down times will be more consistent. Next, the V10 conditioner like we have on this one, it snaps the stem, but it does not crush the leaves, allowing the plant to keep its nutrients. And third, since the cross auger, we'll be going over that in a bit, pulls the feed from the now further forward cutter bar, there's room for dirt, sand, and gravel to fall out, which means it's not in the windrow. Okay, I went ahead and opened that up, and look how easy this is to get to. All it is one hand lifting it up. They actually changed this from a previous model. We used to have steel right here, but to get to it easier, it made more sense to add plastic, and these plastic pieces can be changed out really easily if they all of a sudden get damaged, but they end up being really durable, don't bend, don't take any damage. If they do, yeah, it's not an expensive fix. So first off, let's start with the cutter bar. On the cutter bar, the knives are reversible, and so it's easy, and they're easy to change out. Unlike competitors, we make it really easy to check the oil on the cutter bar and easy to change it out. I'm not going to go into detail on this, but check that out. That is a major feature, and there's a major difference on the way John Deere has this set up versus our competitors. Next up, the cutter bar components are heat treated, which means they last a lot longer and that means you won't be spending your time and money changing them out. So on the cutter bar, heads 3 and 8 actually spin in reverse motion to help feed that edge. Anybody that drives behind a John Deere windrower notices how that windrow is essentially a perfect square, or sometimes a little bit of an M. That means everything's been fed through the windrower evenly, and with other competing models, you typically see more of just a rounded off windrow, and in that rounded off windrow, you normally have a way too conditioned feed on the sides, and the feed in the middle hasn't been crimped nearly as well, which means that even within a 1 foot circumference, you have differences in how fast the feed dries down. Whereas with the John Deere, everything dries down at the same speed. To help with that crop flow, the John Deere 500R actually now has taller converging drums, and these drums are designed to keep any clumps from the back of the rotary head, and they just help with the crop flow, bringing everything to the cross auger and into the conditioner reel. The cross auger is now also an updated thing from the previous models. And like I mentioned earlier, the cutter bar is further forward. There's a little space there where a lot of that dirt and gravel is going to come out of, and it doesn't suck it up into the head nearly as much. It keeps the head a lot cleaner, which means you have a little bit more time inside the fields. As I mentioned earlier, this is the V10 conditioner reel. We have 3 different options for conditioner reels. We have the urethane conditioner reel, which is really good in legumes or just hay that doesn't have very thick stems, but it's not as durable as the V10 and the tri-lobe conditioner reels are, just because they're metal, so they last a lot longer. And the chevron design, as you can see, it's kind of rounded out. That helps pull the crops through there evenly. Now, what makes the V10 really special? Well, first off, it's very durable. That's one of the reasons it's so popular in this area. And it does a very good job crimping the stems just a few inches apart, but it doesn't tear up the leaves of the plant. This allows the plant to maintain its nutrients, and it can pretty much be used in just about any kind of feed, and it'll do an effective job. You just have to set it to where the operator's manual is going to recommend for that feed. And then the tri-lobe, which of course we don't have here, the tri-lobe is designed to actually crush the whole stem. It doesn't just crimp, it actually crushes the whole stem. So even if you had a double conditioner or something like that, the tri-lobe is actually going to allow the plant to dry down faster, because it crimps as well as just crushes the whole stem without damaging the leaves, which allows the plant to dry down quickly and maintain its good feed value. Well guys, thank you for taking the time to watch that video. I'm Jacob from American Implement in Ulysses, Kansas. If you have any questions about this W235 or a W260 traction unit, as well as any head questions, whether that be draper or rotary head questions, feel free to give me a call at 620-518-1623. We also have quite a few of these units coming up all the time, good used units, as well as some new ones available. Thanks guys.